Great, let's get started on our last week of extended school year math. Yay! You know how to add and subtract using 3-digit numbers. Use what you know to try and solve the problem below. Miss Mendez's class has 243 storybooks. Then the class gets some new storybooks. Now the class has 372 storybooks. How many new storybooks does Miss Mendez's class get? 243 storybooks plus blank more books equals 372. So, I drew some pictures. These are the hundreds boxes. 100, 200, and 10, 20, 30, 40, 3. So 243 plus 372, or 372 minus 243. These are some ways that you can solve this problem. Look back on the last question that we spoke about. How many new storybooks does Miss Mendez's class get? Mr. Lumel's class gets 300 new storybooks. How many more new storybooks does Mr. Lumel's class get than Miss Mendez's class? Write an equation that you could use to solve the problem. How many hundreds, tens, and ones will be subtracted from 300? How many more storybooks does Mr. Lumel's class get than Miss Mendez's class? How could you count up to find 300 minus 129? So, Mr. Lumel's class gets 300 new storybooks. Let's go back and see. You have to find the answer to this in order to see how many storybooks Miss Mendez has. So once you have that, we can work on solving this problem. Think about what you know about adding and subtracting. Fill in each box. Use words, numbers, and pictures. So we're just putting in some examples of how to add and subtract. There is my helper again. Sorry, he was trying to eat your math. Our math. Okay, so I put an example here for you. You can do a different one, but I did 2 plus 2 equals 4. So you can also draw some pictures. For example, over here, to do 2 plus 2 equals 4, you could do 2 dots plus 2 dots equals 4 dots. This one should be fun. Shen has 200 pennies. Diana has 137 pennies. Write an addition and subtraction equation that can be solved to find how many more pennies Shen has than Diana. So Shen, I wrote down, has 200, and Diana has 137. So we're trying to write equations to solve how many more pennies Shen has, he has 200, than Diana. What answer did you get? Lakeview Elementary School has 238 coloring books. Then the school gets some new coloring books. Now the school has 357 coloring books. How many new coloring books does the school get? 238 coloring books that they had to start with, plus however many new coloring books that they got, equals 357 books total. So 238 plus what is going to equal 357? You can simplify this by solving through subtraction. 357 minus 238 is going to equal what? And that is how you find your answer. Janelle has 263 pennies and 137 nickels in her piggy bank. How many pennies and nickels in all does she have in her bank? 263 pennies, 137 nickels. 263 plus 137. You can draw pictures or use an equation to solve. Try using a place value chart. Write the numbers in the chart. Regroup ones and tens. Okay, so 2, 6, 3. 263 pennies. So that's where the 2, 6, 3 came from. 1, 3, 7. That comes from the amount of nickels. Okay. Where do these numbers come from? 2 plus 1 equals 3. So that's where the 3 comes from. 6 plus 3 equals 9. So that's where the 9 comes from. 7 plus 3 equals 10. So that's where the 10 comes from. Now, you know that anytime you have a 10, we're normally going to bring the 1 over and leave the 0 by itself. So that's where this 0 comes from. And the 10 comes from bringing the 1 over and adding it to 9. And the 3 comes from pulling the 3 down. So add hundreds, tens, and ones. Regroup 10 ones as 110. And group 10 tens as 100. So what that means is it's trying to get you to have, see how this has a 10 in here? We're trying to make this so it's not a 10 anymore. We want 3 numbers. 1, 2, 3. Another way we can do this is we can use an open number line. We can start at 263, add the ones, tens, and hundreds. 263 plus 137. Here's 263 on the open number line. We add 7, we add 30, and we add 100. So if you fill that out, that can also help you solve the equation. Continuing on with the same question, we're looking back at the last model that we did. How many hundreds, tens, and ones should be in the last row of the place value chart? So it's talking about this. Which numbers should go here? What number does the last row show? Look at the second modelet on the previous page, and let's solve these questions. What is 263 plus 7? What is 270 plus 30? What is 300 plus 100? Janelle has blank pennies and all. I actually believe I wrote pennies and it was supposed to be all the change because she has 263 pennies. Look back at your Try It strategies by classmates and modelets. Which models or strategies do you like best for adding 3-digit numbers? So it's asking you basically if you like this way, the number line, or if you like to just add or subtract to get your answer. Grace has 412 pictures on her phone. Lenny has 251 pictures on his phone. How many more pictures does Lenny need to have the same number as Grace? Show your work. So what is 412 minus 251? What is 524 plus 278? Show your work. Which addition problems could you use to find 481 plus 295? 600 plus 170 plus 6. So what you're trying to do is figure out what 481 plus 295 is. And whatever that equals, The equation down here must also equal. So you have A, B, C, D, E, and F to choose from. A, 600 plus 170 plus 6. B, 700 plus 17 plus 6. C, 600 plus 70 plus 6. D, 6 ones plus 7 tens plus 6 hundreds. E, 6 plus 70 plus 700. Or F, 6 hundreds plus 17 tens plus 6 ones. Study the example showing one way to add 3 digits numbers. Then solve problems 1 through 6. Example. At Elm School, 176 students are in first grade and 139 students are in the second grade. How many students are in both grades? Find 176 plus 139. You can break apart the add-ins. 176 plus 139. 100 plus 70 plus 6. 100 plus 30 plus 9. So, 100 plus 100 going this way is 200. Going this way, 70 plus 30 equals 100. 6 plus 9 equals 15. 200 plus 100 equals 300 plus 15. 315 is what these added together are. There are 315 students in both grades. Lewis saves $285. Then he saves $152 more. How much more money does Lewis save? Break apart the numbers, find the total. So this is exactly what we did up here. So what they did is they broke apart 176. 176. 176. 139. 139. See that? And then they added those together. Wow. So that's what we're going to do down here. 285 plus 152. So 285 plus 152. And then we're going to add 200 and 100, the numbers you get here and the numbers you get here. And that is how you're going to get your answer. 130 equals blank hundreds plus blank tens. How much money does Lewis save? On Monday, Kim's family starts driving on their vacation. On Tuesday, they drive 258 miles. Kim's family drives 484 miles during both days. How many miles do they drive on Monday? Show your work. 484 minus 258. Use 2 different ways to solve this equation. Show your work. 247 plus what equals 673? Try 673 minus 247. These are 2 separate questions, in case I confused you. What is another way that we can solve this one? And our last question of summer school math is, what is 518 plus 384? And you have these 4 answers to choose from. Make sure to add wisely. I know you can do it, and I can't wait to see you back in school next month.